Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Leggett, and I am the program manager at the Central Florida International Trade Office. And we're hosting this webinar this morning to talk a little bit about the excellent export marketing plans that are offered by the Florida SBDC at UCF. I'll start off with a few housekeeping notes. Everyone is on mute, or I will mute everyone shortly. Other than the speakers, questions can be posed in the Q&A bar at any time, though we'll answer them at the end. And we'll be sharing a copy of this presentation after it is completed, along with a link to the video recording of this presentation. I'd like to join me this morning in welcoming Jill McLaughlin and Noreen Elatar of the Florida Small Business Development Center at UCF. You're in for a real treat this morning as these two international trade specialists discuss the export marketing plans about which Karen Arnon spoke so glowingly last week. Jill McLaughlin began her career as a certified public accountant with PricewaterhouseCoopers and later rose to vice president with Morgan Stanley in their investment banking division, where, among other things, she facilitated numerous companies' entries into Europe, Asia, and South America by helping them develop international expansion strategies and raise required capital in the public markets. Since 2002, Jill has been a small business consultant, and she's a certified global business professional. She holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of Chicago with a concentration in finance and business economics, and a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Michigan with a concentration in accounting. And Noreen Elatar joined the FSBDC at UCF in February of 2011 as a consultant, and later this year was one of the founding members of the Export Marketing Plan Services. Additionally, Noreen taught a course titled Social Media Marketing for Business Success to Entrepreneurs in the Community. And Noreen knows a thing or two about being an entrepreneur, as she has experience as a franchisee of 2 Curves for Women fitness clubs located in Cairo, Egypt. She has a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration degree in marketing with an international business concentration from the University of Central Florida, and a Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship from the Graduate School of Business at Rollins College. So thank you, Noreen and Joe, for sharing your experience and expertise with us today, and over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. And I know Noreen's pulling up our presentation. Thank you for allowing us to share how the Florida SBDC can help your business prepare for going global. Before we get started with that, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about the Florida SBDC. The Florida SBDC has been helping small businesses for around 45 years now. We have offices throughout the state, from Pensacola down to the Keys. And our mission is to help small businesses grow and succeed. We do that through no-cost one-on-one consulting services. We have various training, workshops, seminars. And then we have some special programs to assist established businesses grow to the next level. Some of those special programs include, we have growth acceleration services, we have government contracting services. Recently, we started developing business recovery teams to help businesses recover from the impact from COVID-19. And then what we're here to talk about today is our international trade services. So our international trade services are designed to connect businesses with international trade specialists that can help your company with tools and strategies to succeed abroad. So we provide one-on-one consulting that can assist you in understanding international trade. We can assist you in compiling international market research. And then our flagship program is our export marketing plan service, where we will assist you in preparing a customized roadmap with overseas growth strategies. So that's what we're here and excited to share with you today. So I am gonna now turn it over to Noreen.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so making the decision to sell your products or services overseas has many benefits to your business. Over 95% of the world's customers live outside the United States. So that's a huge number. And with that, 98% of exporters are actually small businesses. So needless to say, exporting offers you the chance to expand your sales potential. Exporting also provides companies with diversification to ride out fluctuations in the U.S. economy and to reduce your dependence on the U.S. economy, as well as overcoming the seasonality of your business. Selling your products overseas will also allow you to utilize your excess production capacity, enhance the prestige of your company, and of course, the ultimate goal, which is to increase your overall sales and profits. So exporters really fall into two different categories: accidental exporters and intentional exporters. Accidental exporters react to opportunities that come their way as opposed to preparing for them well in advance. Perhaps this could be answering an inquiry you received from abroad through your website. It could be reading about an opportunity in the news and wanting to take advantage of it right away without really considering all the factors involved. Or you could have a personal connection in a country and think that that's your into that market, and that should be enough to sell your product there when that's not really the case. So an intentional exporter does his or her homework first. They make exporting a strategic priority, and they identify overseas growth opportunities for their business. So our goal at the SBDC is to turn accidental exporters, or those that are even new to export, into intentional exporters who are strategic about their international sales. And this helps work towards the ultimate goal, which is your increased sales and profits. So a great first step to a successful exporting strategy is to have an export marketing plan. So what is an export marketing plan? It is a written document detailing exporting opportunities and strategies. So if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you get there? The export marketing plan is intended to provide a roadmap to success for a successful international strategy. Having an export marketing plan also helps with accessing capital, because this often requires communicating a vision and a plan for your business. The export marketing plan, like a business plan, is intended to be a living document that can adapt to market changes. And then the companies that are engaged in our export marketing plan services receive a confidential, in-depth business assessment and a customized plan developed by our international trade specialists, who are also certified global business professionals. So what goes into an export marketing plan? An export marketing plan is customized to your business, and it's prepared and provided to your company. And so here are the typical components of an export marketing plan. A statement of company objectives and export goals. We have those laid out for you and written in your plan. A company overview and background, and this would include an export readiness assessment, which I'll talk about in a little bit. A product or service analysis, where we discuss how you may need to adapt your product or your packaging to overseas markets. We touch on some legal aspects to consider, such as intellectual property protection, and offer information about export compliance. We provide an in-depth industry and customer analysis, as well as a thorough evaluation of markets, and then top markets are recommended in the plan. We identify both foreign and domestic competition, and then we help you develop country launch strategies and provide you with a step-by-step detailed action plan, which will prepare you for connecting with international buyers. And that's where our program partners assist with, that have discussed in previous webinars. So how does one become a successful exporter? What does it take? First, you have to be sure that your company is export ready. And part of our analysis is to provide you with an export readiness assessment. We then conduct in-depth market research focused on your industry, your customers, your product or service, and other indicators for success. This leads us to identifying top markets to target first in your overseas strategy. We provide you with the tools necessary to enter the foreign market successfully and teach you how to build an export compliance program for your company. And finally, it's important to establish export metrics. That's in order to evaluate if what you're doing is working or not, and it helps get you to meet your goals. So you may be wondering, is my company export ready? So there are really 4 areas we look at to determine if that's true, and that is management commitment, in-depth experience with the product or service, adequate cash flow, and capacity and capability. So what do these areas mean? Well, here are some questions you can ask yourself to determine if your company is export ready. So is your management team committed to export? Are they able to dedicate the appropriate staff, time, and resources to a successful export strategy? Having a buy-in and commitment from the management team is really key here, and they should understand that the strategy is long-term. Have you had success in the domestic market? Have you successfully sold your product domestically? Does your company have sufficient cash flow, and are you willing to commit financial resources to this strategy? And finally, do you have sufficient production capacity? That's in terms of factory space and also staff in order to fulfill new overseas orders. So if you can answer yes to all of these questions, then you may be ready to get started with an export strategy. So how do we identify market demand and which countries offer the best prospects for your product? So as a potential exporter, it's key to perform market research in order to determine where your company's product best fits and provides the best opportunity. Conducting market research is really the difference between being an accidental exporter and an intentional exporter. And so since an export strategy is very time and capital intensive, we want to make sure that you're channeling your resources towards the right markets. The goal for the research is to aid you in making sound decisions that won't cause you to waste time and money later on. So we first conduct market research and look for the largest and fastest growing markets, as well as other conditions and trends in competing companies. Then we use this research to evaluate markets and prioritize opportunities. So how do we do this? Through an international market analysis. And this is where we evaluate the indicators that are relevant to your product, that are relevant to your industry, and just globally, some global indicators for success. And so here are some examples of things that we evaluate. First, global trade flows. We look at the trade data. We look at which countries are importing the most of your product. And then the growth rate over the previous years. Has this market been growing? And then from that, what percentage of the U.S., what percentage of the market share does the U.S. represent? That shows an affinity for American-made products. We also take a look at some economic and political indicators, population or target customer size, economic growth such as a country's GDP, whether or not the U.S. has a free trade agreement with that country, because that helps break down some of the trade barriers and makes commerce between the countries a bit easier. Currently, the U.S. has 20 free trade agreements in place, so it's always good to take advantage of those. We also look at something called the ease of doing business ranking, and that evaluates which country's regulatory environment is more conducive to starting or operating a business. And then we record the data on a table. We eliminate the markets that have poor potential or too much risk, and that leaves us with a set of countries that we would consider recommended target markets. Where do we get this information? So since we are part of the University of Central Florida, we're fortunate to have access to their extensive database of industry reports. So we take a look at those. We also look at US and foreign government websites. We may find data on relevant industry associations. So we really take a look at a vast amount of resources to come up with these indicators and plug in the data. And so those are just a few examples. It varies by company, but that's typically what we would look at. So to give you a practical example, let's take a look at this fictitious company called Sal Surfboards. They manufacture surfboards right here in the great state of Florida. They've been in business for 10 years, and they have a pretty good market share in the US already. and they're looking to export their high-quality surfboards abroad. Their CEO, Mr. Sal himself, is completely on board with the strategy. They've set aside an export budget and appointed their business development manager to lead the export initiative. Right now, their company is operating under capacity, so fulfilling new orders from overseas would not be an issue. So we would consider them export ready at this point. So the first step in our market analysis would be to examine the trade data. We look at the US market share and 5-year growth rate of imports of surfboards all around the world. We may also do the same process for complementary goods, which are other goods that are related to the actual product itself. So in this case, it could be wetsuits. If there are countries that are importing a lot of wetsuits, that could be a potential market for surfboards as well. So not only will we take a look at the historical demand, we would also take a look at the forecasted demand. What does the future demand look like for surfboards per country? We can also think of countries that have coastlines and look at how long the coastline is for a country. We could also take a look at the number of surf shops in a country that could represent potential customers. As an economic indicator, we could take a look at the GDP per capita. Maybe surfing is considered a sport of those of higher incomes, globally looking at the various sports of the world that could be considered that. So we want to make sure that the country and the people have enough money to be able to afford it. And then let's say the target customer for Sal Surfboards is between the ages of 18 and 45, male. So we could take a look at the population of that segment in every country and evaluate that as well. We'd also look at the markets based on risk factors, different risk factors, duties and taxes imposed on the products to see how expensive it would be to import per country, and then whether or not the US has a free trade agreement with that country as well. So based on an evaluation of all these indicators, we'd then be able to make a recommendation for a set of countries for Sal and his team to take a look at. So that's basically how we would do it for a typical company. So after completion of our export marketing plan, we work closely with our program partners to help you identify overseas opportunities based on those target markets recommended in the plan. And our partners for this program are Enterprise Florida and the U.S. Commercial Service. These could be matchmaking opportunities through their services or through trade missions or through trade shows. Many of these opportunities have now gone virtual since travel has been halted. And our partners did speak about their services in previous webinars of this series. But as a quick recap, what this would involve would be some market and industry briefings with trade specialists. It could be appointments with prospective trade partners in key industry sectors and assistance in developing appropriate follow-up strategies. So now I'll turn it back over to Jill. She's going to explain the success of one of our export marketing plan clients and also some details on how to get yourself one of these export marketing plans.
Great. Thank you, Noreen. So I'm really excited to share with everyone a success story of a local Central Florida company, Genesis Water Technologies, which is located in Maitland, Florida. Excuse me. So Genesis began exporting in 2009 to just one market. And after that experience, they realized that there was a great number of opportunities in other international markets, but needed assistance in identifying which of those markets offered them the best opportunity. So they turned to the Florida SBDC, and we prepared an export marketing plan for them, which was a roadmap for this international expansion plan for Genesis Water Technologies. Now the company exports to 43 countries. Exporting represents over 40% of their revenues. So as a testament to their export success, just a few weeks ago, they were named by the SBA the 2020 Small Business Exporter of the Year for the entire nation. It's a coveted award, a great honor, and really just a wonderful example of how a small business can really expand overseas. And they did this in addition to the export marketing plan, with support from U.S. Commercial Service and Enterprise Florida, as Noreen mentioned. I know that they both gave presentations earlier in this series. So we're really excited for Genesis Water Technologies and hope to have more SBA Exporters of the Year from the state of Florida in the near future. So here's a list of some of the qualifications to receive the Export Marketing Plan service. It's for Florida manufacturers and professional service providers. The products must be produced in the state of Florida or services provided from a Florida location. It's for new to export, new to market, or infrequent exporters. Minimum of 2 years in business, 5 or more full-time employees, and sales of $500,000 to $10 million. So I've been told to get a very comprehensive customized plan like the ones we produce could cost anywhere from around $25,000 or more, which of course to most small businesses, this is unaffordable. So thanks to a grant from Enterprise Florida for qualified small businesses, the cost is just $500. So I hate to promote it as a great deal, but it really is a great deal for the value of information that is provided, again, to help you develop your strategy for growing successfully overseas. So on the last slide, you see there our website, which is the link to the application. So if you're interested, please go to that website and complete an application online, and then we will follow up with you. If you have any questions before or after that, please don't hesitate to contact either myself or Noreen. Our email addresses are listed here. And again, our goal is to help you just grow and succeed and take advantage of the great opportunities in international markets. So with that, Chris, I'll turn it back to you. I don't know if we have any time for questions, if anyone has any questions.
Well, thank you both, Jill and Noreen. This was really a great overview of one of the services that you perform here at the SBDC. And I would never hesitate to let people know what a great bargain this is. A lot of times people don't realize how fortunate they are to live in the state of Florida from a business perspective. And because of the grants that are provided by Enterprise Florida for this program and for others, it makes becoming an exporter really not too costly of an endeavor. Obviously, there's investments that need to be made, but really we have so many people who can help out, whether it be the U.S. Commercial Service, whether it be the Enterprise Florida grants. We have some great people working with us from Exim Bank and the SBA to help finance exports and insure against risks. So really, there's just so many ways that help is provided, and this really is the cherry on top of that great Sunday that we have to offer, and that it helps people really identify when they think, I want to export, but don't really know how to export, and they've got somebody who's able to help them export. Now I see there's a question here from Mike Cooney about asking about how long does it take to complete an export marketing plan?
So normally we produce an export marketing plan within 60 days, and that's from the start of the process. Once we have all the initial paperwork in, the application, we usually set up a call with you to review the application. And then if you are admitted into the program, then we would then set up a more in-depth business assessment review. And from that date on, it's about 60 days to complete a plan.
And I'd like to ask a question. Is this basically a one-shot, or do you make recommendations for a different phases of export marketing. That, you know, a company might want to start exporting to an easy market like Canada or Mexico because of geographic proximity and having some great trade agreements. Or is this part of a longer-term process where it goes, okay, this is where you start, but then you want to start looking at these markets going forward? Or will people come back for a second export marketing plan to help them decide how they want to export once they've already implemented what was in the first plan?
So I'll address that. Thank you, Chris, for that question. So a company can only receive one export marketing plan. However, we are here to assist companies throughout the process. So we don't deliver the plan and say, here you go, good luck. We work with the company throughout the process in conjunction with our partners, U.S. Commercial Service and Enterprise Florida. And as Noreen said, the export marketing plan is a living document. Market conditions change, industry changes, the company changes. So we are always available. As mentioned earlier, our one-on-one consulting is at no cost. So we will continue to work with the company in all areas of their export strategy. We can assist them with updated international market research as time goes by. If they're looking for information about new markets, again, we will work with them along with our partners. So it is our goal. Our goal is in complete alignment with our clients' goals, and that is we want them to be successful in these markets. So we are here to support them through every step of the way.
And another question that I think companies might have is, if they don't think they are quite ready to export, is there any help that they can get from the SBDC to help them understand what they'll need to do in order to show that they're export ready?
Yeah, I think that's where our one-on-one consulting services comes into play. They are at no cost, so we can work with the company to get them up to, first tell them what it takes to become export ready, and then help them in the various areas to achieve that, so that once they are there, then they'll be able to either get the export marketing plan and start in our program, or whether they need market research or export compliance program, we'd be able to assist in that regard.
And I see a question from Carol Palacio about what are some of the trends of exporting with the current pandemic situation, and is there an appetite for companies to venture into exporting?
Well, I would say, the trends are definitely going virtual. So, there isn't a lot of traveling going on right now, but we are seeing a lot of great momentum in some of these virtual services. And honestly, I have a lot of clients that are really excited about it, enabling them to explore opportunities in international markets without leaving their business and, taking that time away. So they're actually excited about it. But, it depends on the market. Some markets have been slower to come back than others. But we are seeing a lot of activity, and most importantly to small businesses, we're seeing a great amount of support from organizations such as Enterprise Florida and U.S. Commercial Service, where they are doing a lot of support for small businesses, many of which are being done at no cost. So everyone has a mission to help small businesses start exporting, and putting a lot of resources to help them do so, even in these challenging times. And, as Noreen had said, exporting, it's a long-term strategy. So this is something that you're not going to necessarily see results from, in a very short period of time. And I think now more than ever, learning that diversifying your customer base is a huge important factor to the strength and the growth of your business. So starting now to develop that plan to diversify your customer base, to grow, is a great strategy for the viability and the future of your business long term.
Just piggybacking on that, does COVID factor into the development of export marketing plans at all? In that, or do you make recommendations that this is what you want to look at longer term, but maybe for the next 6 months to a year, you might not want to consider exporting, or you might want to consider doing exporting differently?
I would say there may be some of that. Again, this is a long-term strategy, but certainly as we talk about the recommended markets for the company's product or business, certainly COVID-19 and the ability to access those markets will have an impact in the short term. So, you know, as we implement the plan and talk to the commercial specialists, for example, in the embassy, in the market that may have been recommended in the plan, they will certainly be able to share with the company how COVID-19 has impacted their marketplace and how that may impact their market entry strategy.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a really great point in terms of how people work with the other service providers that you've noted in that instance, the U.S. Commercial Service, in helping to implement the program and actually make it a reality that they'll be getting support all the way along and help fine-tune the greater strategy into the more specific opportunities. I will give the audience one more chance if anyone has any final questions before we sign off. But I do want to try and keep to the schedule and be respectful of everyone's time. So seeing no questions, I would like to very much thank Noreen Alatar and Jill McLaughlin for joining us this morning to talk about all the great services of the Florida SBDC at UCF, and in particular, the export marketing plan that can really, as we've heard this morning, help businesses to focus their export activities and really maximize the benefit and minimize the risk of exporting. So thank you both.
Thank you for having us, Chris.
Excellent. Everybody have a terrific day. As mentioned at the beginning, I will be sharing a link to the recording of this webinar, as well as a copy of the presentation that was delivered this morning. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.